Thank you, Vivek, for joining in today's interview. How are you doing today?
Good morning. Hi, I'm doing well. How about you? Hope you
I'm
all are.
doing good as well. Thank you for asking. So, before we proceed, can you give a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. Hi, as I've stated, my name is Vivek Bharati. I have completed my BCom from SP College, Pune in 2002. I've been working with various organizations and carry an experience of around 19 years. Presently, I'm associated with Capita for last 6.5 years, and I've been working there as a manager. I'm real. I have a team size. My span of control is 39. However, there are other projects as well that reported to me indirectly, and I'm responsible for their performance too. Through the year, I have to take up their annual performance review, their appraisals, and the day-to-day stuff that we carry for as a manager. At the same time, I'm also involved in daily conversations with clients, keeping them posted, sending them reports basis the performance and the progress on the projects. Uh, Parallelly, I've started working on Microsoft Dynamics 5 years back, and yes, I'm working as a consultant there. My prime client is at the moment is Marsh McLennan, which is an insurance broker of UK, and my responsibilities are to look into the legal entity setup as and when they move to a new location, and looking at the accounts payable for them.
Okay. So, since you mentioned that you have got 5 years of experience working in the Microsoft Dynamics domain, right? Can you elaborate on any one of the project you might have worked recently? What are the challenges that you faced in working on those projects, and how did you overcome that?
Okay, so Marsh McLennan have started their office at Dubai recently, and we had to set up legal entity. So we started with the information gathering with Marsh McLennan Dubai, since they had already one entity on AX, so it was not so difficult for them to explain how it was. So we started with the information gathering. We took up the legal entity details later on, which are the vendors and the customers for them. We took up those details. During the information gathering, whatever the information that we needed for the setup was given to us. While setting up the legal entity, we came across two situations wherein they had Dubai, they had two offices, and they wanted only one office to be on the system. And on that same system, they wanted the other company office address as a delivery address. So that is where we found challenge, and they wanted the certain transactions that happen with the other entity to be recorded on this system only. So that was another challenge that we came across. So these were the two challenges that we came across, and we had a discussion with senior consultant. They guided us, and again on the technical setup, we had to make some modifications, and accordingly the project went through. We completed our project. We presented the SIT internally, and then upon completion of SIT, there were certain feedbacks that were given to us. We reworked on it. We completed the project, and we sent it for UAT. During the UAT, also they wanted some of the things to be added to the system so that they can operate with their vendors again properly. So
Okay,
we had to those changes. Sorry.
you said that you find challenge in adding the address. What was the challenge?
The challenge was when they said that it's altogether different office and they wanted that address on the system. So having and they also wanted the name to be changed for it. So that was a challenge. So we told them that we cannot change the name of the legal entity. It will remain one only. And what if they want the other address to be a delivery address, we can add it only as delivery address of the system. And they agreed to it. We made that change.
We wanted to change the legal entity of that office. They want to add the name of that office.
They wanted the other office's address to be a delivery address, the branch office's address.
So what was the challenge then?
The challenge was they wanted the name as well to reflect on the main page, which was not possible with the first identity. Having two identities under one head was a challenge.
Okay. Well, I don't think that that should be an issue, but okay. Um, okay, so you said that you have gone through SIT, UAT. There was another challenge also you have mentioned. Can you please explain it again?
Uh,
You said there were two issues that you faced, right?
yes.
What was the other issue?
Just a moment.
No.
Just 1 minute. The other issue was about. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Okay, no, no worries. So, okay, so can I ask you, can you explain me what is purchase order? I mean, can you explain me the cycle?
Okay. Purchase order is set up whenever we are purchasing goods that are required for the purchasing anything. So in purchase order, what I'll explain you from the perspective of POP. Is that okay? P2P.
You explain.
Yeah. As and when we require to when we need to buy something, first we need to seek an approval for purchasing that particular goods or service. Once we get the approval of that particular request, we submit it internally and we get it approved. Once it is approved, we place an order for that particular service or request with the vendor. Vendor then looks to the requirement and they deliver the good or service. When we receive it, we get the invoice, submit the invoice, and accordingly we upload that invoice on our system. We enter the details on our system of the invoice and confirm the receipt of the good. This is receivable.
So you said you want to upload the invoice into your system. So where you are actually creating the invoice then?
We create the invoice on purchase general ledger.
Purchase general ledger.
It's on general ledger and accounts receivable.
Can you please tell me, like, in how many modules you can actually create a vendor? Which module you can create vendor?
We can create vendor on accounts payable.
Only accounts payable?
Yes.
Okay. Um, okay. So, and okay, so can you please, what are the modules that you worked, you said?
I said I've worked on legal entity setup and accounts payable.
Only these two modules you have worked in 5 years?
So mostly. However, I had to look at account receivable as well, and but to a lesser extent. Then bank setups also had to be done. We have looked through that as that way.
Okay, so you have also worked in banks. So can you please tell me what is bank reconciliation?
Bank reconciliation is as and when we deal with more than one or two banks, the transactions that happen, we need to settle those transactions by balancing. So checking the settlement of those transactions is reconciliation.
Sorry, what can you repeat again?
When you deal with more than one bank, you have to check the transactions if they are settled appropriately on the system or not. So that is bank reconciliation.
So can you give an example that which you might have explored during your 5 years of experience?
About the bank reconciliation.
Yes.
Okay. So if I have put up a purchase order and the order is for say 1 lakh rupees and I have balance of 50,000 in my account with bank A, and I'm borrowing certain fund from bank B to make the payments. So the amount that is settled overall 1 lakh, I need to bring it under one transaction. That is how the bank reconciliation happens.
Are you sure this is the process of bank reconciliation?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, since you have worked in purchase order, can you please explain me what is three-way matching?
Three-way.
Three-way matching.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Um, okay, then okay, can you please tell me how to set up in AP? Do you know the setup process for in AP module? How to create a purchase order? You need to do many setups before that. Do you know the setups?
For purchase order.
No, I'm saying about setting up in AP module. How do you do the setups in AP module?
Okay. In order to create a purchase order, first we'll create vendor groups. Once we are done with the vendor groups, we'll set up all vendors. With that, we'll have to set up posting profiles for vendors. Then calendars. Then we have to set up accounts payable parameters.
Do you create vendor before creating posting profile?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So once we are done with all vendors, then we can set up vendor payment journal and we can post the entries.
These are the only setups that you do?
Yes. Then methods of payment, payment days, payment schedules.
Okay, where
Okay, we
all
will
right.
out of my curiosity. Sorry to interrupt, Pitoshi. Can you explain the life cycle of your project that you did? Means what are the steps that you followed in order to create the setups that you are mentioning? So can you explain the entire life cycle?
Okay. So we started with the information gathering. About when we completed the information gathering, we created SSD, that is System Solution Document, through which we were going to build software. So with the reference to the SSD, we created legal
What is
entity,
SSD?
System Solution Document,
It is SDS.
SDS. Okay.
Mhm.
So we created SDS, and then with the help of SDS, we created legal identity. On legal identity, we had to enter the name of the organization, address, contact number. Um, then we generated the number sequence. After generating number sequence, we moved on to set up the other parameters, like we had to set up banks. We had to set up the postings first on Ledger. So we went with setting up of various things, like we created first group of accounts, then main accounts. Then after adding main accounts, we had to create a chart of accounts. We had to add the financial dimensions to the accounts. Uh, After that, we had to set up calendar, fiscal calendar, currencies, and then only we could post the journal entries. And After doing this, we moved on to accounts payable. So this was the life cycle of the project.
Without the deployment, how the life cycle ends, without the testing and the deployment? What are the others? Means once the development process is done, what are the other things that are present in the life cycle?
Once the development is done, we took all the modules for the SIT in one go, system integration test, and after approval from the manager, we put it for the testing. So testing team took it through the testing. They advised us on certain changes, modifications that were required. So we worked on it again, and then it was approved, and finally it went for UAT.
Due to development in SIT phase or the UAT phase?
Development is, I didn't hear your question clearly.
Do you do the development in the SIT phase or the UAT phase?
In the SIT phase.
I think it should be UAT phase. And after UAT, what do you do? What is in UAT? What exactly you do?
Okay, in user acceptance test, we check if all the requirements are set up as per the client requirement. We share the same thing with the clients too. They also look through whether everything is meeting the requirement. If there is something that is not as per their expectation, so we have to rework on it. That is what the UAT phase is all about.
So you do the testing in the UAT phase.
Testing team actually does the testing. However, we also form part of testing team whenever there is a requirement.
Okay. And after, how do you go live?
Go live, initially we provide the client with all the required setups. We make the first test, and then the client moves on with the day-to-day work on the system, with some of the part moving on to it. And we check the outcome for initial days. And once we realize that everything is falling in place, then it's a go live, and we can give them go ahead.
You mean you are not deploying anything directly? You are giving the software to the company and saying that you start working. If there is any issue, then we will come and do. That is your go live.
No, we are part of it. Whatever the entries that has to be done on the system, we choose that their team members, like the client people, work on it so that they can see how things are, and we are at the same time observing if everything is falling in place or not.
So you don't do any testing with the client before?
We do the testing. Testing is done at the testing phase, and then again after the UAT, if we have come across anything, if there are any modifications done, we again test it.
So, Vivek, for example, some tasks are given to you, and maybe there are a few backlogs that are getting created. So, what happens to the backlog tasks?
Okay, so if there are any backlogs that are getting created, we list it down first, and we work on each of the backlog that is encountered during the project life cycle. If required, we modify. If required, we also change the thing on the software so that the end client gets the product as per the expectation.
Okay, so for example, as you mentioned, the testing was done, and there was a bug that was determined after the product has gone live. Have you come across any situation like that?
There had been one situation wherein we had come across a bug, and we created a bug report, and with the help of the development team, we had to fix that bug.
Okay, so what do you know? What's the difference between a bug and a defect?
A bug could be an error that is coming because of incorrect setup, and defect is something which is coming as a lacuna from the system.
Okay, so you mentioned that you are working as a manager as well, right?
Yes.
So, for example, when there are people who's working under you, and since many people work on a same project, there might be a lot of ideas that get shared, right? Due to which sometimes it might result into conflict of opinions and discrepancies. So suppose this situation has occurred in your team wherein there is a conflict of opinions between team members due to which the environment of the team is getting affected. So how will you handle such kind of situation of, or any example if you want to highlight if you have faced it?
This I would want to highlight one example. There had been a situation wherein we had a huge backlog and we were working on clearing the backlogs. We had a burn down chart set up in the organization to ensure that we clear up the things well within the time. So every day, as such, we work for 8 hours, and some of the team members wanted to make it up faster so that they had their planned leaves and they can attend after 2 weeks of time. So they suggested to work over the weekends and again do the overtime during the weekdays. However, there were certain team members who were not agreeing to that requirement. They said that on a day-to-day basis they would work 2 hours additionally, and thus they would be able to close the backlog. So bringing everyone's understanding under one umbrella was a challenge because some of the team members had already they had their plans and they wanted to move on during the weekends. So talking to them first thing, giving them an understanding and doing the homework before actually approaching them. So I first analyzed how much time is required, whether weekend working is absolutely required or not. So I could see that with 2 hours and with 10 team members on a day-to-day basis, if I put up additional 2 hours, it was going to solve a problem. However, it was giving me the cut-off time only. Had there been any additional requirement or had there been any situation wherein I could have required additional time, then probably I would have to ask, I would have ended up asking some of the team members to work over the weekend. So then again, it was a challenge. So what we decided, we'll work every day 2 hours, and over the weekend, I just check with everyone's availability to be available for only on Saturday for 4 hours with the overtime. So all of them agreed, and the thing went well. We could clear the backlog well within the time. That was the situation that I had.
You are a manager in the support or an implementation team?
Support.
Okay. Okay, I have no question. Do you want to continue? No questions?
Yeah, the final question, Vivek, I would like to ask you, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years of time?
In the next 5 years, I see myself as project delivery head.
Project delivery. Any particular reason behind it?
It has a lot of client interaction. One thing. Second thing, you get a global exposure to see how the business goes, and you also have the opportunity to pick up business from the clients. It's up to your acumen, your understanding, and your exposure. And with kind of environment that I have grown until so far, the seniors that I have worked with, I think I have had that exposure, and that is what I'm targeting up to get in another 5 years. I'm putting up papers from my side at the same time. If any additional learnings are required, I'm also adding it to on a day-to-day basis. So these are the things, and I'm confident that I'll get to it.
So you don't do client interaction and support?
I'm sorry, Prithvish, I didn't get your question.
You do not do any client interaction in the support?
We do have client interaction, and we do have client interaction daily. We keep them posted on the progress. We have daily calls scheduled so that client gets to know where we stand and they can see how far we are going in the right way.
Okay. Thank you, Vivek, for your time. It was nice talking to you. We'll start with the feedback session. If you want to have a glass of water, you can have.
I think I'm fine, sir. We can go with that. Thank you.